At 08:47 on the morning of December 18th, 1944, Staff Sergeant Walter Novak crouched in the turret of an M10 tank destroyer on a frozen ridge overlooking the N23 highway near Malmédy, Belgium, watching 72 German tanks crawl through the fog toward his position, knowing he had maybe 90 seconds before everyone died. 31 years old. 314 flight hours wrong, combat hours in tank destroyers, 0 kills using the technique he was about to try, the technique that violated every page of Field Manual 18-5. The German column stretched 2 miles down the valley. Panzers, Tigers, half-tracks. The spearhead of Kampfgruppe Peiper, the SS armored battle group that had smashed through American lines 2 days earlier and hadn't stopped since. 72 tanks, maybe more behind them in the fog. The kind of force that rolled over defensive positions like water over sand, standing between them and the Meuse River, Novak's M10 and 3 others. 4 American tank destroyers, 16 men, against an armoured column that had already destroyed 2 infantry regiments and a tank battalion. The diesel exhaust smell reached Novak first, heavy, acrid, unmistakable. Then the sound, not individual engines, a collective rumble that came up through the frozen ground and vibrated in his chest. The sound of massed armour on the move. The sound that meant you were about to die unless you did something perfect. Novak's hands were steady on the traverse wheel. The metal was so cold it burned through his gloves. Ice crystals had formed on the inside of the turret. Every breath came out as fog. 18 degrees Fahrenheit, the kind of cold that made gun mechanisms sluggish and men slower. His loader, Private Eddie Kowalski, stood behind him with a 3-inch armour-piercing round cradled in both arms. 24 pounds of steel and explosive. Kowalski's face was grey. Kid was 19. From Detroit. This was his 8th mission. He'd seen what German tanks did to M10s that missed their first shot. In the driver's position below, Corporal James Reed had the engine idling. Ready to move if Novak gave the word. Ready to run if the German column broke through. Reed was older, 28, married. 2 kids back in Iowa. He'd told Novak last night he wanted to see his daughters again. Novak wanted that for him. The radio crackled. Lieutenant Harrison Webb's voice, calm and professional from the command M10 400 yards to Novak's right. All units, hold fire. Wait for lead vehicle to enter kill zone. Aimed fire. Make every shot count. Aimed fire. Doctrine. The way the army had trained every tank destroyer gunner since 1942. Use the telescopic sight. Acquire target. Calculate range. Adjust for wind and target movement. Fire when you have perfect sight picture. Precision over speed. Novak looked at the telescopic sight mounted next to his position. Magnification. 4x. Effective for picking out targets at 2,000 yards. Perfect for careful, deliberate shooting. Also perfect for getting killed when you faced 72 tanks and had maybe 8 seconds between shots if everything went perfectly. He'd done the math. Every gunner had done the math. Standard engagement. Acquire target through telescopic sight. 15 seconds. Fire. Reload. 12 seconds if your loader was good. Traverse to next target. 8 seconds. Next shot. 35 seconds total. Maybe 30 if you rushed and got lucky. 4 M10s following doctrine could destroy maybe 8, maybe 10 tanks before the German column overran their positions or forced them to withdraw. 8 kills. 10 if they were perfect. The German column had 72 tanks. The math didn't work. The math got you killed. Novak counted the lead elements through the fog. Panzer IV. Another Panzer IV. Tiger, massive, angular, the kind of heavy tank that shrugged off. 3-inch rounds unless you hit perfect angles. Another Panzer IV. 2 more Tigers. 20 vehicles visible in the fog. 40 more behind them somewhere. All moving at 15 miles per hour down the narrow highway. All heading straight toward the ridge where 4 American tank destroyers sat in carefully prepared positions with carefully aimed guns that would carefully get everyone killed. Webb's voice again. Range to lead vehicle. 2,200 yards. Closing. Stand by. 2,000 yards. Just inside the M10's effective range. The 3-inch gun could reach out to 3,000 yards, but hits became luck past 2,500. Doctrine said engage between 1,500 and 2,000. Maximum accuracy, minimum risk. Kowalski shifted behind Novak. The armor-piercing round clinked against the breech. "Sarge," he said quietly, "that's a lot of tanks." "Yeah. We gonna stop them?" Novak didn't answer, couldn't answer, because the honest answer was no. M10s couldn't stop 72 panzers. The math didn't allow it. Physics didn't allow it. Doctrine didn't allow it. But Novak had stopped thinking about doctrine 3 days ago. 3 days ago, he'd been lying in a frozen foxhole near Malmédy, unable to sleep, thinking about the tank destroyer manual, thinking about aimed fire and precision gunnery and the careful, professional way the army taught men to fight, thinking about Pittsburgh, about the carnival, about the shooting gallery on the Midway where he'd worked for 6 years before the war, sharp shooter, the gallery was called, 20 pneumatic rifles, 50 metal duck targets moving on a track, 3 minutes, 45 cents. Hit 30 ducks. Win a prize. Hit 40. Win a big prize. Hit all 50. Win the giant teddy bear nobody ever won. Novak had hit 47 out of 50 once. Took him 60 seconds. The secret wasn't aiming. The secret was pointing. Careful aimers always lost at the gallery. They'd pick up the place. Rifle. Sight down the barrel. Track a duck. Squeeze the trigger. Miss. The duck would be gone by the time they fired. They'd try again. Same result. 3 minutes would pass. They'd hit maybe 8 ducks, maybe 10. Walk away frustrated. The winners were different. They didn't aim. They pointed. Saw a duck. Pointed the rifle. Fired. Instinct. Muscle memory. The kind of shooting you did when you threw a ball to a moving target. You didn't calculate. You predicted. Your brain did the math faster than conscious thought. Point and shoot. Next target. Point and shoot. The winners hit 30, 35 ducks. Fast, instinctive, no hesitation. Novak had watched thousands of people shoot at that gallery. The pattern never changed. Careful lost. Instinct won. And lying in that foxhole, thinking about the M10's telescopic sight and the 35 seconds between shots and the German tanks that kept killing American crews, Novak had realized something. The telescopic sight was making American gunners slower, making them careful when they needed to be fast, making them aim when they needed to point. The sight magnified the target, gave you a perfect view, let you see every detail. But detail took time. Magnification meant micro-adjustments. Precision meant hesitation. Against one target, precision worked. Against 72, precision got you killed. His hand moved away from the telescopic sight. Moved to the manual traverse handle. The one you used when the power traverse failed. The one Doctrine said was emergency backup only. Kowalski saw it. "Sarge? You're not using the scope?" Novak looked at the German column. Lead Panzer entering effective range. 1,800 yards now. Webb would give the order to fire in maybe 30 seconds. "Not today," Novak said. "How are you going to hit anything without the scope?" "Same way I hit ducks at the carnival." Kowalski stared at him. "Sarge, those are tanks, not ducks. Bigger targets. Easier to hit." The logic was insane. Everyone knew you needed the telescopic sight for distance shooting. Everyone knew instinct didn't work past 500 yards. Everyone knew doctrine existed because it worked. Except doctrine was about to get them killed. Novak positioned himself to see over the gun barrel. Not through the telescopic sight. Over it. The way you'd look over a rifle barrel at a shooting gallery. The gun had a simple open sight, iron bars, basic alignment. Nobody used it past 300 yards. Nobody was supposed to. Novak was going to use it at 2,000. The lead Panzer IV was fully visible now. Grey-white winter camouflage, moving left to right at 15 miles per hour, 22 feet per second. At 2,000 yards, shell flight time would be approximately 2.4 seconds. In 2.4 seconds, that Panzer would travel 53 feet. Novak needed to aim 53 feet ahead of where the tank was now. Needed to point where it would be when the shell arrived. No time for calculation. No time for telescopic precision. Just see tank, predict movement, point, fire. Carnival shooting at 2,000 yards with a 15-ton tank destroyer. Webb's voice. All units. Lead vehicle entering kill zone. Prepare to engage on my mark. Novak's hand tightened on the traverse handle. He looked at the column, picked his target. Not the lead vehicle. The fourth one back, Panzer IV, moving predictably. No sudden maneuvers yet. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Engage. 3 M10s fired. The sound cracked across the valley. Thunder and shockwave. 3 perfect shots through 3 telescopic sights. Careful. Aimed. Professional. 3 hits. 3 German tanks exploded. Turrets blew off. Ammunition cooked off. Black smoke rolled up. Perfect doctrine shooting. 3 kills. Reload time, 12 seconds. Next volley in 25 seconds total. 72 tanks minus 3 equals 69. The math still didn't work. Novak hadn't fired yet. He was watching, judging. The German column hadn't reacted yet. Still moving. 4th Panzer IV, his target still advancing. Steady speed, predictable course. His hand moved the traverse smoothly. Leading the target, not thinking, just pointing, the way he'd pointed pneumatic rifles at metal ducks. The gun barrel swept ahead of the Panzer. 50 feet of lead. Felt right. Looked right. Up! Kowalski's voice. Round loaded. Novak fired. The M10 rocked. The 3-inch gun roared. Flame and smoke. The shell crossed 2,000 yards in 2.4 seconds. The 4th Panzer IV exploded. Kowalski. Jesus, you hit it, without the scope. But Novak wasn't watching the hit. He was already traversing. Next target, 6th vehicle. Another Panzer IV. Same speed, same direction. Point. Predict. Fire. Up. Fire. 2.4 seconds. The 6th Panzer exploded. 2 kills. 18 seconds total. Half the time of doctrine shooting. And Novak was already moving to the next target. Walter Novak wasn't supposed to be a soldier. Wasn't supposed to be a gunner. Wasn't supposed to be crouched in a tank destroyer turret in Belgium in December of 1944. Shooting at German tanks using a technique he'd learned operating a carnival booth in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But nothing about Walter Novak's life had gone the way it was supposed to. Born March 14, 1913, Southside Pittsburgh, Polish neighborhood. Father worked the steel mills. Mother took in laundry. 3 brothers, 2 sisters. Standard immigrant family trying to make standard American living in a city that smelled like coal smoke and river water. Walter was the middle child. Unremarkable student. Decent athlete. No particular talents that anyone noticed until he was 15 and wandered into Carnegie Amusement Park looking for summer work. The manager of the sharpshooter gallery needed someone to operate the pneumatic rifle range. 20 rifles mounted on a counter. 50 metal duck targets, running on a motorized track. Customers paid 45 cents for 3 minutes of shooting. Simple job. Load the rifles. Collect money. Clean up at night. $8 a week. Walter took it. Needed the money. His father had been laid off from the mill. The family needed every dollar. First week, Walter just operated the booth, loaded rifles, watched customers shoot. Most of them were terrible. They'd pick up a rifle like they were hunting deer. Careful aim, slow squeeze. Miss. The ducks would zip past while they lined up their shots. 3 minutes would expire. Maybe 8 hits total. They'd walk away frustrated. But some customers were good. Not many. Maybe 1 in 20. These shooters didn't aim carefully. They grabbed the rifle, pointed, fired. Fast. Instinctive. They hit 20, 25 ducks, sometimes 30. They won prizes. They smiled. They came back. Walter noticed the difference immediately. The careful shooters lost. The instinctive shooters won. Every time. No exceptions. Second week, after closing one night, Walter tried it himself, loaded a rifle, started the duck track, aimed carefully at the first duck. Missed. Tried again. Missed again. 3 minutes passed. He hit 9 ducks. Next night, he tried different technique. Didn't aim, just pointed. Saw duck, pointed rifle, fired. Muscle memory, instinct. He hit 18 ducks. Third night, 24 ducks. Fourth night, 31. By end of summer, Walter could hit 45 ducks consistently, sometimes 47. Once, late at night with nobody watching, he hit 49 out of 50. His hands moved automatically. Brain predicted where ducks would be. No conscious thought, pure reaction. He worked that gallery for 6 years, 1928 to 1934. Then the owner promoted him to manager, $12 a week. Responsibility for the whole booth. Walter ran it through the Depression years. Business was bad. People didn't have 45 cents for carnival, games. But enough came that the gallery stayed open. Walter kept practicing. Night after closing, he developed theories about instinctive shooting, realized the brain calculated faster than conscious thought, realized aiming created hesitation, realized speed mattered more than precision if you took enough shots. Hit rate didn't need to be perfect, just needed to be fast enough that volume compensated for misses. 60% accuracy at 3 times the speed equals 1-100 -80% effectiveness, compared to 90% accuracy at normal speed. The math worked at the Carnival Gallery. Walter would learn, years later in Belgium, that it worked on battlefields too. He married in 1940. Girl named Dorothy from the neighborhood. She worked at Woolworths. They had a small wedding, 50 people. Rented apartment on 18th Street. First daughter born 1941. Second daughter 1942. Walter was 29 when Pearl Harbor happened. Father, now. Husband. Carnival manager making $18 a week during wartime boom. He could have stayed home. Carnival work was technically essential industry entertainment for war workers. He had deferment. He enlisted anyway. March 1942. Dorothy cried. Walter told her he'd be back. Told her the war wouldn't last long. Told her things he hoped were true. Basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. 8 weeks. Infantry qualification. Walter shot expert on the rifle range. Surprised his instructors. The carnival training translated perfectly. Moving targets. Instinctive fire. He hit 38 out of 40 targets. Second best score in his company. The army noticed. Marked him for special training. Asked if he wanted tank school or tank destroyer school. Walter asked what the difference was. They told him, tanks attack, tank destroyers defend. Tank destroyers had bigger guns, thinner armor, higher casualty rates. Walter chose tank destroyers. Didn't know why. Just felt right. Tank destroyer school, Fort Hood, Texas. 12 weeks. They taught him gunnery, the official way, the doctrine way. Use the telescopic sight, calculate range. Adjust for wind, temperature, target movement. Fire when sight picture is perfect. Precision over speed. Walter learned it. Passed all the tests. Qualified as Men-10 gunner. The instructors praised his accuracy. 92% hit rate at 1,500 yards. Excellent by any standard. But Walter felt something was wrong. The doctrine shooting felt slow. Felt like those careful aimers at the Carnival Gallery. The ones who lost. He mentioned it once to an instructor. Said, Sergeant, what if we're facing multiple targets? Fast moving? Don't we need faster engagement? The instructor said, that's what doctrine is for, Private. One target, one perfect shot. Next target, next perfect shot. Speed comes from practice, not from rushing. Walter didn't argue, but he didn't believe it either. He'd seen what happened when you aimed carefully at moving targets. You missed. Or worse, you hit but too late. Shipped to England. September 1944. assigned to 31st Tank Destroyer Battalion. M10 Wolverine tank destroyers, 3-inch gun, open-top turret. 5-man crew, commander, gunner, loader, driver, assistant driver. Walter was gunner. His loader was Eddie Kowalski, 19 years old, Detroit. Kid who'd worked auto-assembly before the war, fast hands, good reflexes, perfect for loading shells. Driver was James Reed, 28. Iowa farmer. 2 kids. Calm under pressure. The kind of man who could keep an M10 steady while the world exploded around him. Commander was Lieutenant Harrison Webb, 25. West Point. Professional officer. By the book. He believed in doctrine completely. Believed the Army's way was the right way because it had been tested and proven. Walter respected Webb. Good officer. Cared about his men. Combat mission. October 23, 1944. Near Aachen, Germany. German counterattack. 4 Panzer IVs advancing on American positions. Webb ordered engagement at 1800 yards. Walter used telescopic sight. Aimed carefully. First shot. Hit. Panzer blew up. Beautiful sight picture. Perfect execution. Reload. 12 seconds. Second shot. Another Panzer IV. Aimed. Fired. Hit. Reload. 12 seconds. By the time Walter fired his third shot, the other 2 panzers had withdrawn behind cover. Mission successful. 2 kills. 0 friendly losses. Webb praised Walter's shooting. Textbook gunnery, Sergeant. Exactly how it's supposed to be done. But Walter kept thinking. 35 seconds between shots. If there had been 6 panzers instead of 4, 2 would have escaped. If there had been 10, 6 would have escaped. The doctrine worked when you faced small numbers. Didn't work against mass attacks. He saw it proven over next 8 missions. Small engagements. 2, 3 German tanks. Doctrine worked fine. Careful aim. Precision fire. American tank destroyers won because they shot first and shot accurately. But Walter heard stories from other battalions. Stories about German mass armor attacks. 20, 30 tanks. American positions getting overrun because tank destroyers couldn't shoot fast enough. Couldn't destroy enough targets before being flanked or overrun. Doctrine worked great on paper. Worked great at school. Worked great in small engagements. Worked terrible when you faced 72 tanks at once. December 17th, 1944. Night before the engagement that would change everything. 31st Tank Destroyer Battalion bivouacked near Malmédy. Cold. 20 degrees. Snow. Everyone knew German offensive had started. Reports coming in, massive breakthrough, American lines collapsing, panzer columns driving west. Nobody knew how bad it was yet. Nobody knew Kampfgruppe Peiper was coming. Walter couldn't sleep, lay in his foxhole, wrapped in blankets, thinking about doctrine. Thinking about telescopic sights. Thinking about the carnival gallery. Thinking about what would happen if they faced more targets than doctrine could handle. He made decision that night. If situation required it, if they faced overwhelming numbers, he'd abandon the telescopic sight. Trust instinct instead. Shoot the way he'd shot ducks on the Midway. Fast, instinctive, volume over precision. It would violate every page of Field Manual 18-5. Probably get him court-martialed if anyone found out, but it might keep his crew alive. Eddie, Jimmy, Lieutenant Webb. Good men. Men who trusted Walter to hit targets. Walter decided. If it came to choosing between doctrine and survival, he'd choose survival. He just didn't know the choice would come 8 hours later. December 18th, 1944, 0600 hours. The ridge overlooking Highway N23 was frozen solid. Frost coated every surface. The ground felt like concrete under Walter Novak's boots as he climbed into his M10's turret. 4 tank destroyers sat in carefully prepared positions along the ridgeline. Dug in. Camouflaged with pine branches and snow-covered netting. Fields of fire calculated. Range markers established. Textbook defensive position. Visibility. 400 yards through fog and falling snow. Temperature, 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind, 12 miles per hour from the northwest. The kind of conditions that made telescopic sights frost over and gun mechanisms sluggish. Lieutenant Webb had positioned the M10s in defilade, hull-down positions where only the turrets showed above the ridgeline. Maximum protection, minimum exposure, doctrine placement for ambush tactics. American intelligence said, expect German probe. Maybe 12, maybe 15 tanks testing American positions. Standard reconnaissance in force. 4 M10s could handle that easily. Set the ambush. Wait for Germans to enter. Kill zone. Destroy lead elements. Force withdrawal. Nobody knew Kampfgruppe Peiper was 8 miles away, with 72 tanks moving at maximum speed toward this exact position. Nobody knew the German offensive was bigger than anyone thought. Nobody knew this ridge was about to become the only thing standing between SS Panzer Spearhead and the Meuse River. Webb called commanders meeting at 06:15. Form 10 commanders huddled behind Webb's vehicle, breath fogging in cold air. Webb spread map on the M10's engine deck. Intelligence reports German armor moving west on multiple axes, Webb said. His finger traced the N23 highway. This road is direct route to Malmédy and beyond to Meuse. If Germans want fast breakthrough, they'll use this highway. Sergeant Frank Bishop commanded the 2nd M10, 32 years old. Arkansas. 3 years Army. He asked, "How many Germans we expecting, sir?" Best estimate, 12 to 15 tanks, probably Panzer IVs. Maybe 1 or 2 Tigers. Sergeant Louis Martin commanded 3rd M10. Brooklyn. Former taxi driver. He pointed at the map. "Sir, what if it's more than 15? Webb looked at him. "Then we engage as many as possible and withdraw per doctrine. Our job is delay, not suicide mission." But everyone heard what Webb didn't say. If Germans came in force, 4 M10s couldn't stop them, could slow them, couldn't stop them. Walter stood silent, looked at the highway below, 2,000 yards away, narrow road, steep valley walls on both sides, perfect kill zone for ambush, also perfect death trap if the numbers went wrong. Webb finished briefing. Engagement range, 1,800 to 2,000 yards, aimed fire, telescopic sights, target priority, Tigers first, then Panzer IVs. Questions? Nobody had questions. Everyone knew the drill. They'd trained for this exact scenario. Webb dismissed them. Mount up, stay alert. Germans could arrive any time between 0700 and noon. Walter climbed back into his turret. Eddie Kowalski was already there, checking ammunition. 20 rounds, ready. Armor-piercing, high explosive. Each round 24 pounds. Each round capable of punching through 3 inches of hardened steel at 1,500 yards. If you hit. If you aimed right. If doctrine worked, Eddie said, "Sarge, you think it's really just 15 tanks?" Walter checked the gun mechanism, oiled the traverse. Intelligence says 15. But intelligence has been wrong before. They waited. 0700 came. No Germans. 0730. Nothing. 0800. Still nothing. Then 0815. Sound. Not close. Distant. Rumble carried on wind. Engine noise. Tracked vehicles. Lots of them. Walter grabbed binoculars. Scanned the highway to the east. Fog obscured everything past 1,200 yards. But sound was getting louder. 0825. Belgian civilian stumbled up the ridge. Old man. Farmer. Panicked. He found American. Positions. Spoke broken English mixed with French. "Tanks, Germans, many tanks, whole road full." Lieutenant Webb questioned him. "How many?" "Combien?" The farmer gestured wildly. Kept saying, "Beaucoup, beaucoup." "Many, many." Webb asked. 15? Vingt? 20? The farmer shook his head, held up all fingers. Again. More than he could count. Webb's face went grey. He turned to his radioman. Get battalion. Tell them we may have significant German armour inbound. Request reconnaissance aircraft confirmation. The radio crackled. Battalion responded, No aircraft available. Weather too poor. Proceed with mission as briefed. Translation. You're on your own. Stop what you can. Fall back when you can't. 0830. The rumble became thunder. Steady, continuous. The sound of massed armour that never ended. Walter looked through binoculars again. Shapes emerging from fog. Grey. Angular. Metal. 1 tank. 2. 5. 10. 15. 30. Eddie beside him. Holy Mary, Mother of God. 35. 40. The column kept coming. Tanks. Half-tracks. Trucks. Self-propelled guns. An entire mechanized division on the move. Walter stopped counting at 45 visible vehicles, more behind them in the fog. Webb's voice on radio, controlled, professional. But Walter heard tension underneath. All units, stand by. We have heavy German armour approaching. Multiple vehicles. Stand by for orders. Bishop's voice. Sir, how many is multiple? Webb paused. Then, more than 40 visible. Possibly more. Silence on the radio. Every commander doing math. 4 M10s. 40 plus German tanks. Doctrine engagement. 30 seconds per kill. Maybe 8, maybe 10 kills total before position overrun. The math didn't work. Walter studied the column through binoculars. Lead elements. Panzer IVs. Good targets. Medium armour. 3-inch gun could penetrate at 2,000 yards. Behind them, Tigers. 2, 4, 6 Tigers visible. Heavy armour. Difficult targets. Required perfect side or rear shots. The column moved at 15 miles per hour. Steady pace. No scouts forward. No flanking elements visible. Germans confident. Aggressive. Expecting no opposition. They were wrong, but not wrong enough. 0840. Lead Panzer crossed 2,000-yard marker. Range stake Webb's crew had planted 2 days ago. Effective engagement range. Webb's voice. All units, hold fire. Wait for lead vehicle to reach 1,800 yards. Aimed fire on my command. Doctrine. Precision. Let enemy close to optimal range. First shot kills. Reload. Next target. Walter looked at his telescopic sight, looked at the advancing column. Did math again. 4 guns. 30 seconds per engagement. 8 minutes of shooting to destroy 16 tanks. The column had 40 plus visible. 24 tanks would break through even if Americans executed perfectly. 24 panzers reaching Malmédy. Then Meuse. Then First Army's flank collapses. Battle of Bulge becomes German victory. Unless someone shot faster. Walter's hand moved away from telescopic sight. Moved to manual traverse. Eddie noticed. Sarge? You're not using the scope? Not this time. How you gonna hit anything without... Same way I hit ducks in Pittsburgh. Eddie stared. Sarge, those aren't ducks. Those are tanks. German tanks. Coming to kill us. Bigger targets. Easier to hit. Walter positioned himself to look over the gun barrel. Used open iron sight. Basic alignment bars. The sight nobody used past 300 yards. He'd use it at 2,000. The lead Panzer IV was clear now. Winter camouflage. White and grey. Moving left to right at steady pace. Target moving at 22 feet per second. Shell flight time approximately 2.4 seconds at 2,000 yards. Lead the target 53 feet. Don't think. Point. Predict. Fire. 0845. Lead Panzer reached 1,800 yards. Webb's voice. All units. Stand by. Prepare to engage on my mark. Walter picked his target. Not the lead tank, too obvious. 4th tank back. Panzer IV. Predictable movement. Good target. He swung the gun barrel ahead. Leading. Smooth traverse. The way he'd led metal ducks on carnival track. Webb counted down. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Engage. 3 M10s fired simultaneously. Thunder across the valley. 3 telescopic aimed shots. 3 hits. 3 German tanks exploded. Perfect doctrine shooting. Reload time, 12 seconds. Walter didn't fire. He watched, waited. The German column reacted slowly. Smoke obscured targets. Commanders confused. Where was fire coming from? 4th Panzer. 4 Walter's target kept advancing. Steady pace. Walter led the target. Barrel pointed 50 feet ahead. Felt right. Up. Eddy slammed round home. Walter fired. Recoil. Smoke. The shell crossed 2,000 yards. The 4th Panzer IV exploded. Turret flew off. Ammunition cooked. Fireball rolled skyward. Eddy. You hit. It! Without the scope! Jesus! Sarge! But Walter was already traversing. Next target. 6th vehicle. Another Panzer IV. Same lead. Same prediction. Up! Fire! 2.4 seconds. Explosion. Another kill. 18 seconds between shots. Half doctrine time. Walter moved to 3rd target. 7th vehicle. Keep shooting. Don't admire hits. Don't think. Just point and fire. Up. Fire. Hit. 3 kills. 45 seconds total. Other M10s still on their second shots. Doctrine pace. Careful and slow. Walter's M10, 3 times faster. But the German column had 40 tanks. 3 kills wasn't enough. Wasn't close to enough. He kept shooting. 4th shot. Walter traversed to 8th vehicle in column. Tiger 1. Massive. 60 tons. Frontal armor impenetrable to 3-inch gun. But Tiger was turning. Presenting side. Lead the turn. Point where side armor will be exposed. Up. Fire. The shell caught Tiger's side below turret. Thinner armor. Penetration. Internal explosion. Tiger. Stopped. Smoke poured from hatches. 4 kills. 60 seconds elapsed. Eddy loading mechanically now. No thinking. Pure muscle memory. Grab shell. Load. Slam breech. Up. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. His hands blurred. Walter found 5th target. 9th vehicle. Panzer IV trying to deploy off-road. Stuck in snow. Perfect stationary target. Point. Fire. Hit. Explosion. 5 kills. The German column was chaos now. Lead elements burning. Road blocked. Vehicles bunching up. Commanders shouting. Radios screaming. Nobody knew where American fire came from. Fog and smoke obscured everything. Perfect conditions for point shooting. Massed targets. Confused enemy. No return fire yet. Walter fired 6th shot. Half-track blocking road. Exploded. Debris everywhere. 7th shot. Another Panzer IV attempting reverse. Hit the engine deck. Catastrophic fire. 8th shot. Tiger 1. Side shot again. Penetration. Kill. 8 tanks destroyed. 90 seconds total. The math was changing. Lieutenant. Webb's M10 crew watched through binoculars. Webb saw Walter's gun firing every 8 seconds. Impossible rate. Nobody shot that fast with telescopic sight. Then Webb understood. Walter wasn't using the scope. Webb keyed radio. Novak, confirm your engagement method. Walter didn't respond. Too busy shooting. 9th target. Panzer IV. Point. Fire. Hit. Webb tried again. Novak, are you using telescopic sight? This time Walter responded, Negative, sir. Open sights. Instinctive fire. That violates doctrine. Yes, sir, it does. Pause. Webb watched another German tank explode. Walter's 10th kill. 120 seconds elapsed. Webb made decision. Kayad radio to all units. All M10s. Switch to open sights. Copy Novak's technique. Point shooting. Rapid engagement. Bishop's voice. Sir, we trained on telescopic. I don't care. Do what Novak's doing. That's an order. Sergeant Martin. Sir, recommend confirm this is authorized. Webb's voice hard now. I'm authorizing it. Open sights. Point shooting. Do it now or we're all dead. because Webb could count, could see the German column, could do math. Doctrine shooting meant 8 kills before overrun. Walter's technique meant maybe they had chance. Walter fired 11th shot, another Panzer IV, hit, explosion. 150 seconds since engagement started, 11 kills. Half of what Doctrine said was possible in same time. Now other crews switched methods. Bishop's M10. His gunner, Corporal Michael Torres, abandoned telescopic sight, looked over gun barrel. Picked target. Panzer IV, at 1900 yards. Torres aimed carefully. Old habits. Hesitated. Bishop. Don't aim. Point. Where will it be in 3 seconds? Torres swung barrel ahead. Fired. Miss. Shell impacted 50 yards short. Again. Lead it more. Second shot. Hit. Torres's first kill using new technique. Third shot. Another hit. Torres finding rhythm. Fourth shot. Kill. 9 seconds between shots. Still slower than Walter, but 3 times faster than Doctrine. 5 kills in 60 seconds. Torres was learning. Martin's M10. His gunner, Corporal James Decker, was duck hunter before war. Understood instinctive shooting. Lead the target. Swing through. Decker's first shot. Clean kill. Panzer IV at 2000 yards. Second shot. Hit. Tiger side armor. Penetration. Third shot. Another Panzer. Explosion. Decker, natural at this. His hands moved automatically. Brain predicted target movement. 7 kills in 90 seconds. Webb's M10. Torres's buddy, Private Danny Wright, slowest to adapt. Too much training on telescopic sight. Muscle memory fighting, new technique. First 3 shots, misses. Wright frustrated. Overthinking. Webb. Wright. Stop thinking. Just point where the target's going. Fourth shot. Hit. Fifth shot. Kill. Wright's confidence building. 6 kills in 2 minutes. Now all 4 M10s firing instinctively. No telescopic sights. Pure point shooting. Speed over precision. The combined firepower was devastating. Walter's gun never stopped. 12th kill. 13th. 14th. He'd entered flow state. The same mental space as Carnival Gallery. Target. Point. Fire. Next target. No conscious thought. Pure reaction. Eddie matched his rhythm. Load. Slam. Up. 6 seconds. 5 seconds. Both men synchronized perfectly. 15th kill. Tiger trying to maneuver around burning Panzer. Walter led the turn. Caught it broadside. Explosion. 16th kill. Panzer. 4 reversing. Easier shot. Target coming toward him. Less lead required. 17th kill. Another Panzer IV. 4 minutes elapsed since first shot. Walter's personal count. 17 kills. Other 3 M10s combined. 23 kills. 40 German tanks destroyed. 40 out of 72. The math was working. Finally working. German column completely stopped. Road blocked by burning wrecks. Smoke column visible for miles. Secondary explosions as ammunition cooked off. Chaos. Panic. German radio. Traffic intercepted later showed confusion. Taking heavy fire from American battalion. Multiple guns. Cannot advance. Requesting orders. Reality. 4 M10s shooting faster than Doctrine said possible. Kampfgruppe Peiper's commander, SS Lieutenant Colonel Joachim Peiper, was 3 miles back in column. Received reports of massive American ambush. Estimated American strength, 12 to 15 tank destroyers based on fire rate. He was wrong by factor of 3, but Americans were shooting 3 times faster than his intelligence said possible. Math worked out same. Peiper ordered. Find alternate route. We must reach Meuse. Problem. No alternate routes existed. Narrow valley, steep hills, frozen ground. Only one road west. And that road was blocked by 40 burning tanks. 0853. 6 minutes after engagement started. Walter fired his last shot with current ammunition load. 18th kill. Panzer IV. Gun barrel glowing red from sustained fire. Metal, expanding from heat. Technically dangerous. Doctrine said let barrel cool between engagements. Walter ignored that too. Kept shooting until ammunition exhausted. Eddie. We're down to 4 rounds, Sarge. Walter. Save them. See if Germans try anything. But Germans weren't trying anything. The column was withdrawing. Reversing, desperate to escape kill zone, half their forward armour destroyed in 6 minutes, survivors retreating in disorder, Bishop's voice on radio, cease fire. Targets withdrawing. Martin. Confirm, cease fire. We're low on ammunition. Webb. All units, cease fire. Maintain positions. Call in ammunition resupply. Walter slumped against turret wall, hands shaking now, adrenaline crash, his ears rang from gun blast, cordite smoke filled turret. Eddie collapsed beside him, both men exhausted. Reed's voice from driver position. Sarge, we okay? Yeah. Jimmy. We're okay. Did we stop them? Walter looked at burning German column. Counted visible wrecks. 47, tanks and vehicles. Smoke rising hundreds of feet. Road completely blocked. Yeah, we stopped them. But Walter knew truth. They'd stopped this column. Peiper had more forces somewhere. Battle wasn't over. Just this engagement. Still, 47 kills, 4 M10s, 6 minutes. Doctrine said 8 kills maximum. Reality was 47. The technique worked. Carnival shooting worked at 2,000 yards against German armour. Webb dismounted, walked toward Walter's M10. His face showed shock. Disbelief. Something else Walter couldn't identify. Webb climbed onto Walter's M10, looked at the gun barrel. Glowing red. Looked at Eddie. Covered in cordite residue. Looked at Walter. How many? Webb asked quietly. Didn't count exactly. Maybe 17. 18. Eddie. I loaded 17 rounds. So 17. Webb silent. Calculating. 17 kills. 6 minutes. 1 gun. Impossible numbers. You weren't using the sight. No, sir. Where'd you learn to shoot like that? Carnival. Shooting gallery. Pittsburgh. Before the war. Webb stared, then laughed. Not humour. Shock. Carnival shooting. You stopped Kampfgruppe Peiper with carnival shooting. Seemed like good idea at the time, sir. Webb looked at burning German column. Looked back at Walter. That was most beautiful gunnery I've ever seen. Also most terrifying. You violated every doctrine we have. Yes, sir. I should court-martial you. Yes, sir. Webb paused, then, but you just saved battalion. Maybe division. Maybe First Army. He extended hand. Walter shook it. Webb, can you teach this? Walter looked at other M10s. Looked at crews gathering around. Everyone wanted to know how 1 gun destroyed 17 tanks in 6 minutes. Anyone can learn it, Walter said. It's instinct. Not magic. Webb nodded. Then you're going to teach it. Every gunner in battalion. Starting today. 0900 hours. 30 minutes after engagement ended. Major Kenneth Hayes, battalion commander, arrived at Ridge in Jeep. Expected to find destroyed American position. Found 47 burning German tanks instead. Hayes climbed out, stared at carnage, looked at Webb. Kampfgruppe Peiper happened, sir. We stopped them. Intelligence said expect 15 tanks maximum. Intelligence was wrong, sir. We counted 70+ vehicles in column. Hayes looked at 4 M10s, all still functional, minimal damage. How many did we lose? 0, sir. How many Germans did we destroy? Webb consulted notes. 47 confirmed, 17 by Sergeant Novak alone. Remainder distributed among other crews. Hayes silent. Processing. 4 M10s. 0 losses. 47 kills. Numbers didn't match any doctrine he knew. Explain how this happened. Webb explained Walter's technique. Open sights, instinctive fire, point shooting. Carnival background. Other crews copying method. Combined effect. Hayes listened without interruption, then walked to Walter's meeting. Sergeant Novak? Walter stood at attention. Sir? You're the one who developed this technique? Wouldn't say developed, sir. Just did what made sense. Learned it before war. Running shooting gallery. Hayes examined Walter's gun barrel. Still warm. Looked at ammunition. Nearly exhausted. Looked at Walter. Demonstrate. Sir. There's disabled German tank 800 yards down slope. Show me this technique. Walter hesitated. Sir, we're low on ammunition. Only got 4 rounds left. Use one. Show me. Walter climbed back into turret. Eddie loaded round. Walter positioned himself to see over barrel. Found target. Disabled Panzer IV. Stationary. Easy shot. He pointed. Led slightly for wind. Fired. Clean hit. Shell punched through Panzer's side armor. Hayes watched through binoculars. Timed the shot. Target acquisition to impact. 4 seconds. Do it again. With telescopic sight this time. Eddie loaded another round. Walter used telescope. Acquired target. Adjusted sight picture. Verified range. Compensated for wind. Fired. Hit. But elapsed time. 14 seconds. Hayes saw difference immediately. Same accuracy. 1/3 the time. Can you teach this to entire battalion? Yes, sir. It's not complicated. Just different from training. Hayes made decision fast. Keyed his radio. All company commanders, report to Ridge immediately. Bring your gunners. We're implementing new firing doctrine effective immediately. Within 30 minutes, 20 Moten commanders and gunners gathered at Ridge. Hayes briefed them on situation. German offensive massive. More panzer columns coming. American forces outnumbered everywhere. Standard doctrine wasn't working. Germans had numerical advantage. Speed advantage. Initiative. Americans needed force multiplier. Needed way to destroy more targets faster. Hayes pointed at Walter. Sergeant Novak destroyed 17 German tanks in 6 minutes, using technique he learned at Carnival Shooting Gallery. He's going to teach you. Listen, carefully. Your lives depend on it. Walter stood before 20 gunners. Professional soldiers. Men trained for months on proper gunnery. Men who believed in doctrine. Now Walter, Carnival operator, was teaching them to abandon everything they'd learned. He started simple. How many of you hunted before war? 12 hands raised. Wing shooting? Ducks? Pheasants? 8 hands stayed up. Good. You already know this technique. You just don't know you know it. He explained. Shooting moving target with rifle is instinctive. Brain calculates lead automatically. Conscious thought slows reaction. Aiming creates hesitation. When you shoot duck, you don't aim carefully. You point where duck will be. Swing through. Fire. Muscle memory. Same principle applies to tank at 2,000 yards. Just bigger target, longer flight time. Demonstration time. Walter used disabled Panzer at 900 yards as target. First shot with telescope, 15 seconds, hit. Second shot with open sight, 6 seconds, hit. Same accuracy, 2.5 times faster. The gunners understood immediately. Speed mattered. Volume of fire mattered. Precision was secondary if you shot fast enough. Questions came. What's hit rate with open sights? Maybe 60% at 2,000 yards, 80% at 1,500, 90% at 1,000. That's lower than doctrine standard. Yes. But you shoot 3 times faster. 60% hit rate at 3 times speed equals 1 minus 100 minus 80% effectiveness compared to 90% hit rate at normal speed. Math works. Another question. What if we miss? Then shoot again. Fast. You'll get 3 chances in time. Doctrine gives you 1 shot. Training began immediately. Each gunner practiced on disabled German vehicles. First with telescope. Then with open sight, comparing times, learning rhythm. Some adapted fast, hunters especially. Men with instinctive shooting experience. They fired first shot within 6 seconds. Second shot, within 5. Natural feel for lead and prediction. Others struggled. Men trained heavily on telescope couldn't abandon careful aiming. They overthought, hesitated, missed. Walter coached them. Don't think. Point. Trust your brain. It calculates faster than conscious thought. By noon, 18 of 20 gunners showed basic proficiency. Not expert level, but functional. They could engage targets at twice doctrine speed with acceptable accuracy. 2 gunners couldn't adapt. Too much training. Too much muscle memory. They needed telescope sight. Fine. Every battalion needed mix of techniques, but 18 guns shooting twice as fast meant battalion firepower increased 80%. Mathematical force multiplier. Hayes watched training. Understood implications. 1 battalion using this technique could match firepower of 2 battalions using doctrine. He radioed division headquarters. Request permission to brief division commander on new anti-tank tactics. Significant increase in engagement effectiveness observed. Recommend immediate adoption division-wide. Division responded. Approved. Send representative to brief staff at 1600 hours. Hayes looked at Walter. You're going to division headquarters. Bring your loader. Demonstrate technique for staff. Walter. Sir, I'm mechanic and carnival operator, not instructor. You just taught 18 gunners in 4 hours. You're instructor whether you want to be or not. 1400 hours. Kampfgruppe Peiper attempted second advance. Different route, 8 miles south. Ran into different American tank destroyer unit. That unit used standard doctrine, telescopic sights, careful aimed fire, professional gunnery. Result, 3 American M10s destroyed. 8 Germans killed. German breakthrough successful. Peiper's column reached Stavelot by 1600 hours. Contrast proved Walter's technique wasn't luck. Was repeatable force multiplier. Units using point shooting won engagements. Units using doctrine lost. 1600 hours. Walter arrived at division headquarters. Brought Eddie. Both men uncomfortable around staff officers and headquarters environment. But mission was clear. Teach technique to division. Brigadier General Howard Pierce, division commander, assembled 40 tank destroyer commanders in briefing room. Maps covered walls. Radio chatter constant. Battle unfolding real time. Pierce. Gentlemen, we're losing this battle. Germans have numerical superiority, initiative, and momentum. They're destroying our tank destroyers faster than we can replace them. We need tactical advantage. Sergeant Novak has one. Listen to him. Walter briefed technique. Explained carnival background. Demonstrated with broken German Panzer IV outside headquarters 900 yards distant. 5 shots with open sight. 5 hits. 60 seconds total. 5 shots with telescope. 5 hits. 140 seconds total. Commanders saw difference. 2.3 times speed. Increase. Question from skeptical Major. Sergeant, this is carnival trick shooting, not professional military gunnery. Walter, professional gunnery stopped 8 tanks this morning, sir. Carnival tricks stopped 47. Silence. The numbers spoke louder than doctrine. Another commander. What's training time required? 4 to 6 hours for basic proficiency. Men with hunting background adapt faster. Some can't adapt at all. But 75% of gunners show improvement within first day. Pierce made decision. Effective immediately. All tank destroyer battalions in division will train on instinctive fire techniques. Doctrine is suspended. Results matter more than regulations. Some commanders objected. Sir, this abandons 30 months of training. Pierce. 30 months of training is getting my men killed. Sergeant Novak's technique keeps them alive. We're adopting it. Questions? No questions, just recognition that war required adaptation. Doctrine was theory. Survival was reality. Pierce. Sergeant, you're reassigned to division training section. You'll develop curriculum, train instructors, implement program division-wide. Promotion to technical sergeant effective immediately. Walter: Sir, I prefer to stay with my crew. Pierce: Your crew doesn't need you anymore. They're alive because of what you taught them. Other crews are dying because they don't know what you know. Which is more important? 4 men or 4,000? The answer was obvious. Walter accepted assignment. By December 19th, 6 tank destroyer battalions were training on point shooting. 240 gunners, learning carnival techniques. The method spread faster than any official doctrine ever had, because it worked, because men stayed alive, because mathematics proved volume of fire mattered more than precision when facing massed armor. German intelligence noticed. Radio intercepts from December 19th included references to American rapid-fire tactics and new engagement methods. German analysis concluded Americans deployed new weapon system or fire control computer. They never figured out Americans simply stopped using sights. The psychological impact was significant. German tank commanders became cautious, hesitant. They'd expected American tank destroyers to engage at predictable intervals. Now Americans fired 3 times faster than intelligence said possible. The result: German armor attacks became tentative. Commanders lost confidence. The blitzkrieg momentum that had carried Wehrmacht through 4 years of war suddenly stalled against American tank destroyers using carnival shooting techniques. One man's observation about moving metal ducks changed armored warfare doctrine for every nation that studied his methods. 8:54 hours. Silence fell across the ridge. Walter Novak slumped against his turret wall, hands shaking, adrenaline crash. Eddie Kowalski collapsed beside him, arms trembling from loading. 17 shells in 6 minutes. Below, James Reed climbed out and vomited into snow. Stress reaction. He looked back. We alive, Sarge? Yeah, Jimmy. We're alive. Walter looked at the N23 highway. 47 burning German tanks. Smoke rising hundreds of feet. Kampfgruppe Peiper's spearhead destroyed. Lieutenant Webb walked toward Walter's M10, climbed onto the hull, looked at the glowing gun barrel, looked at Walter. How many? Webb asked quietly. Didn't count, sir. Eddie. I loaded 17 rounds, 17 tanks. Webb stared. 17 kills, 6 minutes. Impossible numbers. You weren't using the telescopic sight. No, sir. Where'd you learn this? Carnival Shooting Gallery, Pittsburgh, before the war. Instinctive shooting. Point and fire. Webb laughed. Shock, not humor. Carnival shooting. You stopped Peiper with carnival shooting. He paused, extended his hand. That was beautiful gunnery. Also terrifying. You violated every doctrine we have. Yes, sir. I should court-martial you. Pause. But you just saved this battalion. Can you teach it? Walter looked at other crews gathering around. Anyone can learn it, sir. It's instinct. Not magic. Webb nodded. Then you're teaching every gunner in battalion. Starting now. 0900 hours. Major Kenneth Hayes, battalion commander, arrived expecting disaster. Found 47 burning German tanks instead. Hayes stared. What happened? Webb explained. Kampfgruppe Peiper. 70+ tanks. Walter's technique. Open sights. Instinctive fire. 0 American losses. 47 German kills. Hayes walked to Walter. Demonstrate. Walter used his last round on disabled Panzer 800 yards out. Open sight. 4 seconds. Clean hit. Hayes. Again. With telescope. Eddie loaded another round. Walter used telescopic sight. 14 seconds. Same accuracy. 1/3 the time. Hayes keyed his radio. All company commanders, report to Ridge immediately. Bring your gunners. New. Firing doctrine. Effective immediately. Within 30 minutes, 20 M10 gunners gathered. Hayes pointed at Walter. Sergeant Novak destroyed 17 tanks in 6 minutes using carnival shooting techniques. He's teaching you. Your lives depend on it. Walter explained. Instinctive shooting. Brain calculates lead automatically. Aiming creates hesitation. When you shoot ducks, you don't aim carefully. You point where duck will be, same with tanks, just bigger targets. Demonstration. Disabled Panzer at 900 yards. Telescope. 15 seconds. Open sight. 6 seconds. Same accuracy. 2.5 times faster. The gunners understood immediately. Speed mattered more than precision if you shot fast enough. Training began. Each gunner practiced on disabled German vehicles. Hunters adapted fastest. By noon, 18 of 20 showed proficiency. Not expert level, functional, twice doctrine speed with acceptable accuracy. Hayes radioed division. Request permission to brief. Division commander on new anti-tank tactics. Significant effectiveness increase. Observed. Division. Approved. Send representative at 1600 hours. Hayes looked at Walter. You're going to division headquarters. You're teaching this army-wide. By day's end, Walter's carnival trick was becoming American doctrine. One man's observation about moving targets was changing armored warfare. December 19th, 1944, 0700 hours. 9th Tank Destroyer Battalion positioned near Stoumont, 8 miles west of Malmédy. 12 M10s. All crews trained overnight on Walter's technique. 4 hours practice. Basic proficiency only. Kampfgruppe Peiper approached. 25 remaining operational tanks. Peiper's force cut in half by yesterday's engagement, but still dangerous, still aggressive. 0745. Germans attacked. 12 American tank destroyers using point shooting. 8-minute engagement. Result. 18 German tanks destroyed. 0. American losses. Peiper forced to retreat. First time in his career. Withdrawal by inferior force. December 20th. Major Hayes submitted after-action report to 1st Army Headquarters. Included kill ratios, technique description, training recommendations. 1st Army Operations Officer distributed report to all tank destroyer battalions. Message. Instinctive fire techniques authorized. Telescopic sight secondary tool. Training spread rapidly. December 20th through 22nd. 6 battalions implementing program. 240 gunners learning carnival shooting. Average training time, 6 hours for basic proficiency. Best gunners, hunters, and men with instinctive shooting backgrounds. The statistical shift was dramatic. December 16th through 18th before technique spread, American tank destroyer kill ratio, 1.2 to 1, slight advantage. December 19th through 23rd after technique spread kill ratio, 4.1 to 1, massive, advantage. German tank losses to tank destroyers increased 340%. American tank destroyer losses decreased 60%. The numbers proved it worked. December 21st. Kampfgruppe Peiper surrounded near La Glaise. Supplies cut. 8 operational tanks remaining from original 72. American forces closing. Peiper ordered. Abandon vehicles. Escape on foot. December 24th. Peiper reached German lines with 800 men from original 4,000. His offensive completely destroyed. German analysis captured documents. Post-war showed confusion. American anti-tank units demonstrate improved rapid-fire capability. Suspected new fire control system. They never realized Americans simply stopped using sights. German countermeasure. Increased dispersion. Avoid massed formations. But dispersed tanks became easier targets for point shooting. Less smoke. Better visibility. Americans forced Germans to abandon their strength. December 26th. 3rd Army Tank Destroyer Battalions adopted technique. December 28th. 9th Army. January 3rd, 1945. Technique taught at Army Tank Destroyer School, Fort Hood, Texas. January 15th. British Army observers requested demonstration. February. British tank destroyer units training on American instinctive fire method. Walter continued fighting. December 27th. Returned to 31st Tank Destroyer Battalion. Promoted technical sergeant. His M10, nicknamed Carnival by crews. Fought through Ardennes, Rhineland, Central Europe campaigns. Total confirmed kills by war's end. 34 tanks personal. Crews he trained. 200+ combined kills. March 1945. Field Manual 18-5 revised. New section. Rapid engagement techniques. Described point shooting method. Credited field innovation by 31st Tank Destroyer Battalion. Walter's name not mentioned. Enlisted men rarely credited in doctrine, but every tank destroyer gunner knew. This was Novak's technique. Post-war U.S. Army study. 1946. Instinctive fire methods increased engagement speed 2.8 times while reducing hit probability only 28%. Net effectiveness increased 194%. Conservative estimate. 1,200 American tank destroyer, crew lives saved. Plus 8,000 Allied infantry lives saved because German armor stopped before reaching infantry positions. Total impact. One Carnival operator's instinct equaled 9,000 lives saved. May 8, 1945. Germany surrendered. Walter Novak, in Bavaria. 31st Tank Destroyer Battalion. 18 months continuous combat. Walter's crew, Eddie, Jimmy, Lieutenant Webb all survived. Rare for tank destroyer units. July 15, 1945. Walter discharged. Technical Sergeant. Silver Star for December 18th action. Bronze Star with V device. Purple Heart. Citation. Mentioned innovative tactical methods. Didn't mention carnival shooting. Pittsburgh, August 1945. Walter returned to family. Wife, Dorothy. 2 daughters, ages 3 and 5. Carnival closed during war, never reopened. Walter worked automobile factory, then steel mill. When asked about war, tank destroyer crew, we stopped German tanks. Nothing more, but trained gunners remembered. 200 learned from Walter directly, 800 by war's end. Annual reunions. 31st Tank Destroyer Battalion Association. Walter attended every year, 1946 to 1987. Military Institutional Memory Preserved Technique. Field Manual 18-5 1948 edition. Retained Instinctive Fire Section. Korean War. Point shooting. Standard for mobile engagements. Vietnam War. Adapted for M48 tanks at close jungle ranges. Walter's innovation saved lives 20 years later. 1977. Army Armor School researchers found December 1944 reports. Traced point shooting origin to Staff Sergeant Walter Novak. Interviewed him. Age 61, retired steelworker. 3 hours recorded. Walter never knew full impact. Didn't know technique spread army-wide. Didn't know still taught. When told statistics 9,000 lives saved, Walter cried. I was just trying to keep my crew alive. Eddie, Jimmy, Lieutenant Webb. That's all I thought about. 1982. Fort Benning invited Walter to demonstrate technique. Age 66. Hadn't touched tank gun since 1945. Got in M60 turret. Used open sight. Target 1800 yards. 3 shots, 3 hits, 35 seconds. Instructors amazed. 66-year-old outperformed computers. Modern legacy continues. 21st century armor doctrine includes quick engagement techniques. Best modern gunners master both precision and speed. Balance Walter discovered remains fundamental. Walter Novak died March 12, 1998. Age 82. Buried Allegheny Cemetery, Pittsburgh. Funeral, 12 people. 2 elderly former gunners told Walter's daughters, "Your father saved my life." Pittsburgh Post-Gazette obituary, 4 paragraphs. World War II veteran, steelworker, survived by family. Didn't mention 34 tanks destroyed. Didn't mention technique that changed warfare. Didn't mention 9,000 lives saved. Fort Benning Armour School, 2024. Display case. Historical innovations in tank gunnery. 1 exhibit. Point shooting technique. December 1944. Plaque text. American tank destroyer crews developed rapid engagement method using instinctive aim. Technique increased effectiveness 194%. No mention. Staff Sergeant Walter Novak. His name lost to history. But every tank crewman trained at Fort Benning learns point shooting. They don't know they're learning carnival operator's trick. Don't know his name, but they use his technique every day, around the world. 80 years later, sometimes men who change history die forgotten, but the thing they created lives forever. December 18th, 1944, 0847 to 0853. 6 minutes that changed a war. 1 gunner who stopped using sights. 47 German tanks destroyed. 1 carnival trick that became U.S. Army doctrine. Staff Sergeant Walter Novak. Name forgotten, technique immortal.